but because the CIA said he was all right to work with and fight with, doesn't mean he's okay to live here. But let's just say that.
What? Yeah, why are we bringing these killers to U.S. On U.S. soil?
They thought he was okay to live here because he worked with that unit. Well, by 2023, they say it became pretty clear that he was off the rails. He was depressed. He had no.
Okay, well, it was the Trump administration that actually granted him asylum. So what the fuck are we talking about? Like, how do you make sense of that? Like, he was someone working within the CIA. I thought this was, an example of the best kind of migrant, the best kind of asylum seeker. A guy who did a lot of contracted killing of civilians for us. Sure, he got a little depressed. But, I like that absolutely no one is asking the question, why the fuck do we have a special unit designed to shoot up hospitals and schools in Afghanistan that the CIA controls, that is entirely comprised of Afghan nationals? What the fuck is happening? Let alone asking the question, why are we in Afghanistan? Why were we in Afghanistan? I thought we established that was dumb. Nope.
Job. In fact, friends said,
why were we working with 15-year-olds? Why was the CIA grooming 15-year-olds to make them murder monsters?
Then they said he has 5 kids. They said when his wife would go and visit relatives, they said the kids would come to school with dirty clothes, then they'd be dirty clothes, unwashed, and hungry. And they reported this to the school, and to Health and Human Services, their local unit there, but there's no sense of anyone trying to close the circle to try to take action. But
take action by what? Deporting him? He's not even saying take action by offering mental health services. He's literally saying, why did nobody realize that he was depressed and therefore deport him immediately? I hope that at least the veterans, maybe the veterans in this community can understand it, but I hope the veterans watching Fox News can at least, at least the ones that were in Afghanistan that have some level of respect for the Afghan nationals that they worked alongside, that, they see the disdain that Fox News has for you as well. I know it's difficult for you to put yourself in the shoes of a brown guy, but that is what it is. I mean, he is literally saying the way to deal with these fucking pesky vets is, take care of them, jail them ahead of time. Apprehend them, let God sort it out.
They would realize this guy was off the rails back then.
Well, so to your initial point about us working with him.
And also, ironically enough, even if this is the argument, the Trump administration is responsible for allowing him to get asylum. So what are we talking about?
In the CIA, I mean, this is very common. They're not sometimes the most model citizens that we work with, but we have a common enemy. And so we typically work with people that are in the inside. But to the point of when he came back home, okay, so they noticed that he's going crazy, and they realized that he's not showing up to his check-ins, which are required for him to be here. Why didn't anyone do anything? The whole point of a check-in is to keep tabs on the person. What is the process when the person doesn't do
he ends up getting asylum?
Exactly.
Even though he's off the rails, he gets asylum. What the hell happened?
Kristi Noem said his vetting process all happened under Joe Biden. She described the screening of Afghans and other foreign nationals under Biden as inadequate. Now Trump has strengthened the vetting process for anyone coming over.
Wait. That's not, they're just, what? But it happened under Trump. The confirmation came under Trump. Hey, first timer here, you're a douche. Thanks, Chatter. This shit don't add up.
Are coming into our country that's an immigrant, including reviewing social media and checking to see who they interact with, because Kristi Noem says this guy was radicalized when he got here to America, but he had connections.
They're trying to say that the vetting took place under Biden, Trump. Just believe the Biden team, and it's all of their fault. That's a move for sure. Yeah, this is pretty cool. You just, once again, you just fucking lie, and then that's it, right? All you need to do is just lie and say, no, Brandon did this.
To his home community, and they're talking.
As long as you can find a way to tie everything back to Joe Brandon, then I guess like there are people at least in the Trump orbit that will agree with it and say, yeah, that seems good to me. As long as my beautiful president's reputation and his administration is not tarnished in any capacity, you know, I couldn't stand for that. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it was Brandon. Brandon did this. Okay, good. I believe it.
Talking with family members and to find out who he was interacting with. Trump also said he's going to impose additional restrictions on migrants. He's going to stop all immigrants from third world countries, and he doubled down on that. No asylum for some nations for a long time, he says, possibly. Right. Brian interviewed C.J. Douglas, Marine veteran, helped with the Afghanistan rescues.
Yeah, so he was called out of retirement to help out in Doha and screen these people. And then they said, would you co-author the what went wrong in Kabul and Abbey Gate? So he did that. Tried to brief Joe Biden on it. First he said, can't do a half hour. He goes, well, we'll knock it out in 15 minutes. Then Joe Biden said, no, I can't even do 15 minutes. Just leave it for me. So there's no indications that Joe Biden even read it. But meanwhile, he knew about the vetting. He was trying to do it in real time on a tarmac in Qatar. Here's what he said about Afghanistan and the...
Okay, none of this has anything to do with the Trump administration accepting his asylum application. We have moved so far beyond the initial point of contention, the initial lie that they told, and now they're just talking about other shit as long as they can keep talking about Joe Biden somehow. They're not even doing a good enough job with this, where they're just like, yeah, well, Biden didn't listen to the report from this other guy who was talking about Abbey Gate and the scandal that was our failure of a failure to leave Afghanistan. Like, okay, the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Exit.
This still goes back to the Biden administration's failure to hold the Taliban to the conditions-based withdrawal. Because, as I've told you previously, I would rather fight them over there than have them here on our shores and have, American citizens have to be concerned about everyday life. I'm for the freezing, and what I would say is with that, what we need to do is look at how we are going to assist the current population we have, and then as well.
So Secretary Noem now admits that there was no vetting failure under President Biden, despite repeating this endlessly and using it as a justification for shutting down all legal immigration of Afghan immigrants. National Guard shooting suspect radicalized in the U.S., Homeland Secretary says, as of today. Noem was DHS Secretary when his asylum application was approved in April. So if there was a vetting failure, it was by her department in April, not by Biden. It doesn't even make sense to say that this is like the Biden administration's fault and failure. How does that even make any sense? You're the one, your admin is the one that actually vetted him.
How we're going to tighten up the screening process for future people coming from third world countries that don't have the ability to screen people as they're coming.
Real quickly on.
But they're not. It's not them that are screened. It's not only our government that participates in the screening process, but it was specifically this administration that approved this person's asylum application. Okay? And once again, it's not even the fact that this person is on US soil is not the major point of contention here. Okay? Because this guy did what many veterans have done as well, and he just seemingly fucking snapped. He felt like he didn't get any coverage or any help from the government after years and years, after a decade of service, which of course was to murder his own countrymen, okay? And for that, they allowed him to come to the United States of America, and then they did nothing. It's the same exact thing that they do to American veterans as well, who then also end up snapping in a similar way and killing a bunch of people.
The radicalization, since they're saying that it happened home, and I'm learning this from a lot of my veteran friends who have contacts within people that served. They served in Afghanistan, and they know some of the people that have since come to the United States that were on that plane, on the multiple planes. And they say that a lot of them are upset about how they're being treated here in America, and they thought there were going to be more resources. But as my veteran friends have made it very clear to them, how do you think American vets are treated when they come back home? We still...
What the fuck? Bro, yeah. Okay. That's... what? Are they doing the thing where they're like, oh, what about the homeless veterans? Whenever people talk... Dude, that's the point. They're trying to be like, well, we treat our own American veterans like shit. Of course we're going to treat Afghan veterans like shit. Okay, don't you think that nobody should be treated like shit? Hello?
People that are in the middle of the street, they're not getting services and all that. So there's a vetting...
Yeah, don't tell that to Brian Kilme, okay? Hey, don't remind Brian Kilme that there are homeless veterans on the streets. He's about to see red. Last time you brought up homelessness in front of Brian Kilme, he talked about how every single one of them should be murdered. So, you know, he's holding on. He's white knuckling. He's like, oh, don't bring up homeless veterans. I want to spit on them. I want to spit on them after I shoot them dead. I'm Brian Kilme. I'm Brian Kill 'em all.
Component of this, and then people that are upset that they thought that they helped the United States when they were overseas, and they feel like they're not treated fairly. Our own veterans aren't treated fairly when they come back home. Many of them are on the streets and depressed and struggling with suicide as well.
They don't understand our society.
No,
period.
they don't.
They don't understand that you get...
Oh, yeah, they don't. Yeah, no, they don't understand our society, period. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, so what happens when, like, an American homegrown veteran snaps in a similar fashion? What then? What now? Do those guys not understand our society either? Because he just basically admitted that this is just a common meta. This is the common problem, which is what I've been saying all along. He's just like, Brian Kilme's like, but okay, you're talking about our lack of resources for our fucking veterans, but also I need to remind you, this man is Afghan, okay? He is different. He is from Afghan. He's from Afghanistan, okay? So it's a different type of veteran.
Your success is generated from yourself.
Right.
And they don't understand our society at all. And there's got to be immediate action taken, because evidently they were handed 1.5 million people on this immigration asylum list for the Bidens go, yeah, we haven't even looked at this list yet. So they're here, 1.5 million, and we have not been able to screen a year in, not even a year into this administration.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilme. It is Election Day in Tennessee tomorrow.
Oh, this is exciting news. Obviously, we got our girl Afton. You got another Barry Weiss mention in an Eli Valley post? For Weiss, the decline of American media is best exemplified by the rise of Nick Fuentes, a Nazi, Andrew Tate, a virulent misogynist, and Hassan Piker, a leftist streamer who pushes universal health care while playing video games. And no, you can't say I don't play video games any longer, because I have been playing a lot of fucking video games, okay? I've been playing Dispatch nonstop. Yeah, Nick Fuentes, Nazi, Tate, misogynist, Hassan, lies about gaming. Except I don't. Oh, Barry Weiss would hate it if you played Dispatch right now. Okay, shut the fuck up, chatters. We got a lot of news to cover, okay? Come on. That shit is barely a game you're just reading. Oh my God. Oh my God. Is this the new meta? The games that I've played are not real video games? Is that what it is? Oh, by the way, Axios. Hakeem Jeffrey says he doesn't expect House Democrats to pursue the Pete Hegseth impeachment. Nice. I would hate for you to do something, anything really. Oh, also, wait, before we get into the to the Afton Bain thing, let's cover Jessica Tarkov.
Yeah, it was definitely a hurried process. I did not see many Democrats even or people part of the administration who were defending the way that we exited this situation. And a lot of the concern was actually for people like this alleged murderer who had helped over the years. And you see veterans all over TV talking about how amazing the vast majority of these people are and that we were going to leave them to die if we did that. I think that looking at that program again and saying we can't repeat that is definitely important, but it's been disappointing to see President Trump or DHS Secretary Kristi Noem on the Sunday shows denying the fact that Donald Trump's administration granted him asylum in April of this year. So they had a chance to evaluate the situation as well when he was nuts, when he was suicidal, when he was threatening, all these things that have been going on in his life, and they also let him stay. So just making this it was your fault, not we have an American problem, I think turns a lot of people off from this, or this kind of rhetoric when Trump is posting that you need to denaturalize people who undermine domestic tranquility and deport foreign nationals who are non-compatible with Western civilization.
Back-to-back Fox clips. Chatter, are you new here? We watch more Fox News than your racist grandfather. I'm a Fox News watcher. I'm an avid Fox News watcher, so much so that I know the names of the hosts. And some of them I cherish and celebrate, like Jessica Tarkov. Jessica escaped from Tarkov.
Using those kinds of sweeping terms versus saying, we need to look at this program and we need to make sure that everyone that we are bringing here deserves to be here is a much more appropriate response to it. But, you know, I understand and was personally hugely upset by this and continue to be, and hope that, you know, the soldier who's fighting for his life can get through.
Celebrate is a strong word. No, I'll say it. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do Afton Bain. Yeah, I've been photographed with Jessica escape from Tarkov. And yes, we're going to do Oklahoma University. I briefly covered it yesterday, but we're going to do it again today.
Tomorrow, a special election for Tennessee's 7th congressional district. This is a heavily Republican district. So why are Republicans having to spend so much money there? CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton is here with the details. When I say this is a Republican district, Harry, how Republican?
It is a ruby red Republican district, John Berman. What are we talking about? Well, why don't we just take a look at the past 3 presidential elections in the great state of Tennessee, in the 7th district, in that great state. Look at Trump's margins. In 2016, he won it by 17 points. 2020, 15 points. And then in 2024, Johnny B, takes the cake here. We get Donald Trump winning by 22 points. That's why I say even a close GOP win tomorrow is a bad sign for them, because what we're dealing with is a district that all 3 times that Donald Trump was on the ballot in the general election, he won it by double digits. And last time, he broke the 20-point margin barrier.
I would say if you had to look at the congressional map, any district that Donald Trump won by 22 points, you would say, you know, you've got like nearly a 100% chance of winning if you're running for Congress there. But what are the prediction markets saying right now?
Yeah, what are we talking about in terms of the prediction market odds? Look, the Democrat has a 15% chance of winning in that race, okay? A 15% chance, which ain't nothing in a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points. But here I think is the key nugget on this side of the ledger, and that is a GOP win by under 10 points. There's a 68% chance of that. So there is a more than 2/3 chance that the Republican candidate, yes, they win, but they win by a significantly lower margin than Donald Trump. We're talking about double digits, smaller. We're talking about a huge shift to the left. We're talking about, when you add these two together, we're talking about a more than 80% chance that there is a clear double-digit shift to the left and a 15% chance the Democrat actually wins in a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points. That just shows you how bad the environment is for Republicans right now, that the Democrat has any sort of a chance in this district.
Talk to me about what the special election has been showing so far.
Yeah, okay, so you see this and you say, okay, this might just be a one-off in Tennessee. It's a December special election. But get this, 2025 House special elections. Dems outran Kamala Harris. We've had 5 so far. Arizona 7, Dem outran Kamala Harris. Florida 1, Dem outran Kamala Harris. Florida 6, Dem outran Kamala Harris. Texas 18, Dem outran Kamala Harris. And in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., in Virginia 11, the Dem outran Kamala Harris. And on average so far, the Democrats have been outrunning Kamala Harris's margin by over 15 points. So what the prediction market suggests would happen in Tennessee is not something that's happening in isolation. It is happening all over the congressional map.
So when you see something like this, what is...
It's a real Holy Toledo type situation, honestly. A real Holy Toledo type situation, ladies and gentlemen.
history tell us about what ultimately happens?
Okay, so you see these and you say, special elections, what do they matter? Well, take a look to the midterm that happens down the line. You go all the way back since over 20 years ago. What are we talking about? Special elections and midterm results. When a party outperformed in special elections.
If anyone honest was around Kamala, they would sit her down, play this segment, and tell her not to run again. No, sweetie, you don't understand. The K-Hive is real, okay?
Since 2005, 5 out of 5 times they went on to win the House of Representatives in the next midterm. So what's happening, what's likely to happen tomorrow in Tennessee, what has happened across the congressional map is likely not to stay in 2025, is likely to push forward and be very good news for Democrats come 2026.
Watch these margins tomorrow night. Republicans are a little bit jittery. Harriet, and great to see you this morning.
To see you.
Thank you very much.
So you just heard my interview with Democrat Afton Bain, who is suddenly in that high-stakes House race. But do Democrats really have a chance to flip that deep red Tennessee seat? And what about President Trump? Why, with everything else going on, has he set his sights on strong-arming Indiana?
Is Harry Hasanabi hit? No, fuck no. Come on, man. No. I mean, I'm sure he has seen my coverage of him and how much this community rides for him, but I highly doubt that he's a fan.
Republicans, my panel is back to answer those questions. So first on Afton Bain, I asked her about would she vote to keep the government open. She didn't exactly say. She didn't say. She said she'd take into consideration her constituents' concerns. Asked if she thought ICE should be abolished. She's showing up at AOC tomorrow at a tele-rally. She wouldn't say directly. Wouldn't say if she would vote for Hakeem Jeffries as speaker. She's leaned very hard on the issues of affordability. It just speaks to the fine line she has to walk at this critical moment.
Yeah, so she's pro-affordability, that's what I take.
Right.
But unwilling to really express opinions on other things. And yet, as you say, having AOC come in to appear with her, if she's trying to go for turnout of Democrats, seems to me she needs to be a little more forthright herself. And if she's trying to walk a line to attract independent-minded and maybe some Republican voters, she needs to speak out more, it seems to me. If for her to win this race would be a surprise. The fact that we're talking about the possibility she could win this race is a surprise, and whatever happens on Tuesday, a warning sign for Republicans.
Yeah, I was curious if she was going to dive into, she has a progressive past, if she would really dive into it, embrace it, and say, this is who I am, I'm going to fight for this, because this is where the politics are. This is where she sees her district at this moment. Especially since this is who she's appearing with. She has appeared. These Democrats have helped her in this race so far. Al Gore, she mentioned, coming tomorrow as part of that tele-rally. Pramila Jayapal, who's the leader of the one of the leaders, past leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, appearing with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And then Kamala Harris was out there recently, too, on a Get Out the Vote rally. These are people that not necessarily you'd consider, moderates.
Yeah. I think she's trying to do two things. On one hand, she is trying to give the appearance that she will, and I think it's genuine. She wants to show voters, particularly in those rural areas, that she is prepared to be a congresswoman for all of her constituents, which means even if she's a progressive member of the state house, she wants them to believe that she will be open-minded and listen to their concerns and be prepared to moderate her stances if that's what the district is reflecting. But on the other hand, she has a election she's trying to win on Tuesday.
Bro, I love that they still say shit like Kamala Harris, not a moderate. Yeah. I can't believe that Kamala Harris, the radical, is campaigning. When she didn't even actually endorse her. She was just there. I lived in Nashville for 6 years. I'm super surprised that she's doing so well, but I do think that Kamala hurt Bain's chances by getting involved. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I think a lot of these previous Democratic failures oftentimes end up becoming, end up having more worth as like anti-endorsements. You know, like Hillary Clinton refusing to endorse Zohran Mamdani the day prior to the election, probably a good thing, you know? Probably not a bad thing. He did win. She has a 100% success rate in reverse endorsements, to be fair.
Tuesday, which is why she's having all these surrogates from progressive to more, moderate establishment Democrats to help get out the vote, because I do think their polling must be showing them that it's close enough that she could actually pull this out if Democrats turn out.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, because Republicans are spending tons of money, both sides, in this final stretch. And Democrats really hope to ride their wave of momentum, which we've seen in special elections. And this year, look at the 2024 House margin versus this special election margin. If you compare apples to apples, those same districts, how they did last cycle versus the special elections this cycle, Democrats are doing better in almost in every single race by double digits, significantly improving their performance from the year before.
And I think this tells us what a godsend this affordability question is, because this race encapsulates the dilemma that Democrats have. They know they need their base to come out, as you said, in these elections.
What kind of election analysis is this? No, it's not a fucking godsend. It's just a reflection of how bad things have gotten. I mean, ultimately, who gives a fuck if Democrats win if they're not going to do anything about it, you know? I feel like that's more important than anything else.
But they need to talk to a much wider cohort of voters. Now, the question this election poses is whether affordability is such a powerful argument that it can, overcome some of the suspicions the more moderate voters have about these Democrats. And does it diffuse the normal MAGA attack lines, like this person's, very left wing, they were for defund the police, et cetera, et cetera. Is affordability such a powerful force that it can supersede all of this?
We talked about redistricting, or we're going to talk about redistricting. Mm-hmm. There's a little warning flag about redistricting here. This is a district that was created by Republicans in 2022 to be a safe Republican district.
It's chopped up.
Yeah. They chopped up
so
Nashville
funny.
into 3 different congressional districts in order to make it so. That's exactly what they're doing in states like Texas. And the warning sign is, by diluting these Republican districts, will they really run a risk of losing some seats that they thought were safe Republican
It's
seats?
such a good point, because it's actually exactly what's happening in Indiana right now. This week, the center of the political world is a ruby red congressional district in Tennessee, the type of place where Democrats would ordinarily never have a chance. But both President Trump and the GOP congressman who recently resigned coasted to victory in Tennessee's 7th district, which encompasses parts of Nashville and wide swaths of rural areas. But suddenly, with less than 48 hours to go, both parties have poured millions in the final stretch, with Republicans scrambling to avert an electoral disaster. Joining me now is the Democrat who hopes to flip this seat and narrow the GOP's razor-thin House majority, Tennessee State Representative Afton Bain. Representative Bain, thank you so much for being with me this morning. Really appreciate your time. As you know,
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. As you know, this is a district that is solidly red. Both Trump and GOP Congressman Mark Green wanted.
They won't say this on CNN, but DSA endorsed. And also anti-Israel. The biggest problem about this this situation is that, like, this was supposed to be a sleeper upset, but now it's very quickly elevated to national prominence, like the profile and the race itself.
By about 22 points, but your record is pretty progressive. So is that really in line with the more conservative voters in your district?
Well, the reason this race is competitive is because the Washington Republican agenda of delivering an economy that works for everyone has not delivered. And I think it's hilarious that Republicans and their billionaire friends are trying to spend millions to save a seat that they should win without thinking. But if we flip this seat, it will send a national message that the Republican Party needs to get serious about lowering healthcare costs.
And before we dive into some of those,
Great way to reframe that for, like, the conservative voters that might see this piece. Yeah, if you're if you're a lifelong Republican, but you're mad at Trump right now for not delivering on the agenda, vote for me because it's a big message.
aspects in your race, I do want to get your views on your party, because there's been a debate since last year about the way forward in the party and the like, and voters still have a very low opinion of Democrats per many public polls. Even one recent poll showed that just 29% of Americans have a favorable view of Democrats. So what about your view about your party and your party's leaders, specifically about your party's leaders? Do you have confidence
I hope she shits on the party here.
in your party's leaders?
Well, I've been running this race as a Democrat that cares about affordability, and I think that's what's going to win it for us. I think that there is a new generation of leadership in the party, and especially from the South, where we want to see Democratic leaders that step up, especially in moments like this that require a fearless, bold leadership. And that's what I'm offering the district, and I think it's resonating with voters.
If you had a chance to, would you vote for Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker?
We represent very different districts, and I've got 48 hours to flip a congressional district and really send a message to Washington, like I said, that they need to get serious about healthcare costs. Honestly, I haven't thought about it, but I want to say that I have been really grateful as someone who has organized in the South.
That sucks because she can't say no right now. Because he literally holds so much of the funding. But if she were to outright say no, it would boost her profile in the fucking race. Which is why she has to do this diplomatic no, Like with Zoran, it's entirely different. I have more criticisms for Zoran, especially after he won, where he's like defending Hakeem Jeffries. But for her, and I would go so far as to say Zoran didn't need this in the lead up either. If they were to ask Zoran, like, oh, do you think Hakeem Jeffries is a good leader? Zoran Mamdani actually criticized them quite a bit. And it's really beneficial for her to be able to do that openly. But the problem is, because of the extraordinary amount of attention on this race now, she kind of is stuck because Hakeem Jeffries can't just like pull back from funding her campaign all of a sudden.
Her entire life. I've been very grateful for the national support in this race. Tennessee is often a state that is overlooked and disinvested in. And to see national surrogates and national supporters providing monetary support and jumping in, it really means a lot to all of us. We welcome it all.
Yeah, speaking of that, because we are seeing both sides sending these big name surrogates in these final hours.
No, her district hates Hakeem Jeffries. The voters, dude, Hakeem Jeffries is nationally deeply unpopular. The reason why she can't fucking shit on Hakeem Jeffries is because he holds a lot of power within the Democratic Party right now. It would be tremendously beneficial. If Hakeem Jeffries was like a smarter politician and a better leader, he would literally let her shit all over him. But the reason why she's giving this diplomatic answer is because there's uncertainty. Clearly.
Hours before Tuesday, and tomorrow, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is holding a tele-rally for you. Are you in line with her ideologically?
Like I said, I think that there is a strain of the Democratic Party that cares about holding corporations accountable and lowering costs for working families. And my politics are in alignment of that. As a state legislator, I've worked to eliminate Tennessee's regressive grocery tax. As an organizer, I work to make healthcare more affordable in the state of Tennessee. And so I think those are the Democratic leaders and candidates that I really resonate with, are those that are trying to lower costs for working families.
Yeah, because Trump has been calling you, quote, the AOC of Tennessee. So, I mean, aren't you just feeding?
Yeah. AOC is another figure that probably isn't very popular in Tennessee, but has like decent approval nationally, I would say, as opposed to other high-profile Democrats who have really low approval ratings. I mean, the Democrats like AOC in Tennessee, but her district is not just Democrats, you know?
Into that narrative by appearing with her?
Like I said, we're really grateful for the support across the political spectrum. And if you and for your listeners, the Teletown Hall also features former Vice President Al Gore, who is a Tennessee legend. So I look at it as iconic that you have Democrats from all political stripes joining in on this moment and saying, we are standing up to what is happening in Washington, and we want to be part of the solution rather than the problem.
Yeah, because some of those you are campaigning with, including AOC, have called for ICE to be abolished. You have been sharply critical of the.
Oh my God. My chatter. He was doing it for the CIA. He was a contractor for the American government. Like he wasn't doing it for what? The point here is not that he was granted asylum. The point of the problem is not that he was granted asylum. The point of the problem is that this zero unit exists to begin with. Like, the issue is that the issue starts not at the point of like letting people like this into the country. The issue starts at the fact that units like this even exist, or even American military presence exists in Afghanistan.
Sources telling ABC News he was unemployed and deeply impacted by the death of one of his Afghan commanders. Sources say in recent days he had been isolated and increasingly distant from family and friends.
The suspect remains hospitalized under heavy guard. In the wake of the attack, President Trump has halted all asylum applications.
Yeah, they're using this as an opportunity to halt all asylum applications. This is great. It's fucking awesome. It's just so unimaginably racist. Yeah, bro assimilated too good is right. That's exactly what happened. Like, how is this any different than the dude who fucking popped Chris Kyle? You know what I mean? Two military veterans. They're going to the fucking, they're going to the shooting range, and one of them snaps and just ends up killing Chris Kyle. You know? Do we just go, oh, wow, we really got to reconsider white people, doing this kind of thing? No, of course not. It's not any different than the I feel like Batman or Halo guy that blew up the Turo rental Cybertruck outside of the Trump Tower in Las Vegas the first day of the Trump administration. It's no different than the Marine guy who drove his fucking F-150 pickup truck into a Mormon church and tried to blow it up. That happened like last month. The New Orleans guy who was also another, Green Beret slash, he was like another intelligence guy as well. He was also in the U.S. military who in New Orleans who went and did an act of domestic terror. He was also brown. I think he was was he also Afghan, of Afghan descent? I can't remember, but he was an American citizen in the American military. The boat attack guy in North Carolina. He was the IT guy or something, right? I can't remember. He was not Afghan. What was his background? I think he was like Muslim. I think he was a Muslim convert. Oh, okay. I'm mixing up my fucking U.S. soldiers, U.S. veterans snapping on U.S. soil and committing acts of domestic terror. They melt into one another at this point. They literally just fucking melt into one another. How am I supposed to figure out who's who? There's so many fucking cases. That's kind of the point. The point is, this happens all the fucking time, as a matter of fact. And it seems like this administration never wants to let an opportunity, a crisis opportunity, go to waste. So, given this guy's background as an Afghan national, and this administration's interest in like stopping all flows of migration and all asylum seekers to make a point about how migrants are responsible for endless amounts of violence, they're just using this as an opportunity to do an asylum freeze.
And we start with a Fox News alert. Right now, a National Guardsman is fighting for his life in critical condition this morning after allegedly being shot by an Afghan national on Thanksgiving Eve.
So it comes as officials revealed that the suspect was likely radicalized while living in the United States.
And we knew about him going.
Yeah, here, Rolling Stones actually went deeper into this, by the way. Rolling Stones reviewed a screenshot of the group chat in June where zero-unit veterans shared information with the CIA representative about ongoing issues. Luckenwald posted messages asking for help. His last post went unanswered and was deleted by the chat's administrator. Yeah, a fellow unit member describes how the alleged D.C. National Guard shooter felt abandoned by the CIA. He'd say, I'm working 9 years or 10 years with the U.S. government. They never answer my phone call. This is literally, I'm sorry, any veteran that says they don't understand exactly what happened here is just fucking lying, okay? This is such a common story. The only difference is this dude is an Afghan national. That's it. And not like homegrown, okay? That's the only difference. What the fuck are we doing? We broke this man starting when we made him a child soldier at just 15. The only reason we care about him now is because his choice wasn't to anonymously kill himself like the other 22 veterans who commit suicide in this country on a daily basis. Yep. Yeah, if only they'd given him a lock for his gun case. Yeah, exactly. Which is what you can look forward to if you're a veteran with crippling PTSD and suicidal tendencies. You won't get the adequate mental health treatment, of course, but they'll give you a free gun case, or not even a gun case, but a lock for a gun case that you have to purchase on your own, of course. But be sure to put a photo of your family in that gun case as well, so that that last second decision stops you dead in your tracks. The additional 30 seconds required to unlock the gun case can be a difference in life and death. It's true. That is literally the American VA's solution to 22 a day veteran suicides. Isn't that fucking nuts? I'm not it sounds so dystopian and it sounds like I'm making it up. And to be fair, I thought it was insane until I saw the ad. They used to run those ads on my broadcast. The VA used to run those ads on my broadcast. It's not 22 a day now. I think it's like 14 or 15 or 17. I don't fucking know the exact number now, but anyway, but yeah, no, look no further than how this is Brandon's fault or how it's the fault of Afghanistan or anybody else, really.
Off the rails as early as 2023. Madeline Rivera joins us live in Washington with the latest. Maddie.
Hi, good morning. 24-year-old Andrew Wolf remains in the hospital today where he is surrounded by family members. His parents say their son is a fighter and they're asking for prayers.
You know, I had a chance to be at the hospital yesterday, and I want to tell you something. When you go there, sometimes when you go to a hospital, a lot of people are very concerned. People certainly are here. But the positive energy, the spirit that the families bring to bear, that his friends have, everyone is rooting for him so hard to make it to that next level. And it's really encouraging to see.
Communities in West Virginia have been holding vigils for 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom, who passed away on Thanksgiving. President Trump says he wants to meet with Beckstrom's parents.
I said, when you're ready, because it's a tough thing, come to the White House. We're going to honor Sarah. And likewise with Andrew, recover or not, we're going to honor her.
Investigators have been working around the clock going through the background of the suspect, 29-year-old Ramanullah Lakhanwal. They've yet to say what drove Lakhanwal, an Afghan national who once worked with the CIA, to allegedly travel cross-country to carry out this attack.
We believe he was radicalized since he's been here in this country. We do believe it was through connections in his home community and state, and we're going to continue to talk to those who interacted with him. Anyone who has information on this needs to know that we will be coming after you, and we will bring you to justice.
Another Afghan national is facing state terror charges in Texas after DHS says he plotted to make a bomb with the intention of targeting the Fort Worth area. He was arrested on Tuesday, the day before the shooting in D.C. Lawrence, Ainsley, and Brian.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Maddie. So we're learning more and more about this guy, including that there were signs. If he ever belonged here is one thing. You know, he worked for the CIA, that Zero Unit. I understand that.